Hi, Innovators. Fancy here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. And if you're not, welcome back. So, today on this episode, we're going to do something a little bit different. Okay, you know how I usually share my journey in hopes to inspire you to live life as an innovator, meaning authentically as yourself. So, for today, I don't know if you know, but on my Instagram, I do a wine wisdom. So I decided to bring that to YouTube. So I have a special guest here with me today, my dear friend Julian.
How are you? Thank you for having me.
And we are going to be discussing relationships and dating in today's era, and also really dive into what makes dating so hard. So, you know, on my channel, we talk a lot about femininity, how to self improve, focus on personal development. And that really stems from the work that you need to do on your inner self and how that will reflect on your future relationships. So, Julian is here today to bring a male's perspective to the conversation for you all. And without further ado, let's get started.
Okay, let's get it.
So, Julian, first, let's because we haven't caught up in a while. So I really want to just, you know, ask you how you're doing.
Well, I'm doing well. Currently, I'm in a relationship.
Good for you.
Yes. Um, Professionally, I'm thriving.
Okay.
Emotionally, I'm in a good space. Mentally, I'm in a good space. Physically, I'm in a good space. So everything is like heading in the right direction.
So that's good, Julian, because I want to ask, now that you're in a relationship, do you feel like you being in a relationship, and I'm assuming this is new, right? Or you've been in this relationship for a while?
So we've dated prior. Officially, it's been a little bit over a year.
Okay.
Yep.
So still kind of fresh, honeymoon
Yep.
stage. So would you say that now being in a relationship, when you talk about emotionally you're good, physically you're good, career wise you're good, do you feel that those components were important for you to get in order first prior to putting yourself out there and saying that I want to date intentionally now?
Absolutely. I feel that for any male, in order to be in a successful relationship, you have to have yourself in order financially, right? Not saying that you can't be in a bad place financially and not have a great relationship.
Okay.
It's just a greater outcome when you are financially able to not only pay your bills, but also if you are dating, you're able to go out and take someone out to a nice place or show gratitude to the person that you're courting at that point.
Yes, because we love to be courted. Feminine ladies, we love that.
And not have to worry about anything. So
Mhm.
if you are dating with intent, you're able to not only shower that person with gifts or go on a vacation or a vacation. You're able to do these things and not have to worry about how I'm going to pay my bills.
Okay.
So I would suggest that any males, if you're in a position to where you feel like, hey, listen, I'm struggling a little bit financially, but you know, I do want to pursue this relationship. I would say just focus on getting things in order first. Put your best foot forward because you're not going to be the best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about being the best version of yourself. If you're going to date a man, if you have dated a man in the past who wasn't financially stable, mm-hmm, or had any financial literacy, he probably wasn't a happy person.
Right.
Do you feel that?
Oh, I definitely feel that. So I definitely dated somebody like that in the past, but we were very young, right? So age does matter,
right?
You know, when it comes to having that financial stability where you feel like you're finally hitting your stride,
right,
you know? And I hear that a lot from men that are a little bit more mature in age.
Right.
They don't really reach a peak to a certain point in their lives, career wise.
35 and over.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No, okay, that's good. Thank you for that statistic. No, but that's a good point. You know, as we go on our journey in finding our potential mate, partner, kingdom man, as we like to call him here.
Huh.
You know, I like that you touched on the aspect from a man's perspective and the
Right.
preparation that you all have to go through in order to set yourself up for the best
Version of yourself.
right, so you can attract that.
Right.
And that's something that I really try to live by and
Right.
influence every day, is that if you work on yourself, focus on yourself and not so much on the outcome.
Right.
Because you know what, we're all out here, as far as the single people, we want to find our partner. So it's
100%.
sometimes, as a woman too, we let, I want to say, society get to us,
Mm-hmm.
age,
Right.
all these things, and it makes us feel like we have to rush.
You feel like you're behind.
Yes.
Right. So even when you're speaking about age, if it's a younger gentleman, and he's outdated, if you see any ambition in him, any motivation, any drive, that's just as equally as important as an older gentleman that you're pursuing who's already found that career or who's already stable. Because ambition is gonna take him past that point of where he's at currently. Now, if you're dating someone who's stagnant or who's comfortable and they're a younger person, that's not gonna work out. That's the first red flag, and I'm sure we're gonna get into like some of the red flags that you should see when you're dating. But I think in general, you want to find a man that's driven, a man that's ambitious, that supersedes someone that maybe currently in a certain state financially or status wise.
Right. So it's really focusing on the character traits of the individual
Correct.
versus the fruit that they're able to produce right here and today. So that brings me to a question, Julian. How would you, because I feel like there's a fine line between, we hear it so much where people will say, don't date for potential, don't date for potential. So some of what you're saying, as far as if you see someone who is ambitious, has a vision,
Mm-hmm.
and is actively striving towards that, but they don't technically have it, it's not tangible,
Mm-hmm.
that still somewhat is potential. So how would you say, or how would you advise um on that tip? Because
Okay, I got you.
yeah.
I know where you're going with that. So I would advise, if you're a young lady and you're dating someone who you know is ambitious, or you see someone that has drive, your expectations for that person in that relationship will have to be adjusted based off of how society views it. So if I'm a someone that's on the grind and I'm trying to achieve whatever goal that I have, I'm not gonna have as much time. So there's not going to be the marathon Texas, or it's not going to be as much quality time spent because I'm chasing my goals, I'm chasing my dreams. But
Mm-hmm.
if you could provide support, so I would say if you do have that person that's special to you and you see that they have, they're ambitious and they have drive and they're motivated, you have to figure out how could I add value to that situation, right? So let's say if you have someone that's into real estate or someone that, let's say, got their CDLs and they're a truck driver, they may be so busy and so focused, they may not be as good with the administrative side of things. So that's just an example of, hey, listen, babe, I understand that you are busy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me take care of this for you.
Okay.
Or if someone is doing real estate and let's say they have a tenant that just moved out and they're cleaning the unit, hey babe, let me come down, let me help you clean that unit with you, or let me help you do something. So you have to figure out how I can provide value and understand that it's a process and it's going to take time for that person to achieve those dreams. It may be 5 years before you see the fruits of that labor, but that guy is going to respect you more and he's going to see more value in you if you're along that journey. But if you're coming at the last minute and I'm already successful and I've already achieved all my goals and I have this status, now I'm going to question, okay, what do you bring to the table?
Okay. Now, I love that you talked about that, because in a way, um, you talk about a man that has real estate or maybe an entrepreneur, right?
Right.
And the accounting side of things or the administrative side of things may not be up to par to push him to the next level.
Right.
That man very well may be a high value man, high quality man, a kingdom man. And as women, we may ask ourselves, or men, well, what do you bring to the table? But those small things you mentioned, a real estate, someone in real estate helping them clean out the unit for the next tenant,
Small.
or that's I like that.
Yeah,
You just
it's
taught me
small, but
something.
it's small, but it's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's a high value man, like in the waiting. They may not be a high value man now, and I don't even like the term high value man or low value, right? Because it's all relative. Because I could be in a different state
Mm-hmm.
and making a certain salary or a certain income, and I could live comfortable.
Right.
But if I'm in a different state, I may not be as comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all relative what you consider high value. I feel that someone that could pay their bills, someone that could do things outside of having a budget, but also have the mind frame of saving and investing, and also have something to lose, is a high value person or a high value man in general.
No, definitely. And honestly, on this channel, I consider high value woman or man someone who is constantly evolving and focusing on their personal development in all aspects. It's not about money, because when you focus on your passion, the money will come.
100%.
When you work on your mental health, your
100%.
spirituality, who you are as an individual, that to me is a high quality person, someone who is a whole person.
Right.
That's what I consider high value. So that's what I
Right.
mean by that.
Okay.
Not someone who is living in their past, their traumas,
Right.
and they're just stuck in the cycle.
Yeah. So like my question to you, I know not to get side railed or derailed.
Mhm.
I noticed like the culture is running with this term bad bitches.
Oh gosh.
So what I see from my view, from my perspective, it's a lot of bad bitches that's single.
Mm. Okay.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
What is a bad bitch, and why are so many bad bitches single?
Well, I personally don't like that term.
Okay.
But if I'm going to go based off of what we see today and
Right.
what that emulates, I would say that's someone who, to me, that is a woman that is operating in her masculine.
Okay.
Because that is energy that is very go-getter energy.
Mm-hmm.
They may look good physically, keep themselves, intact,
Right.
but they're on the chase for something. And they have an attitude of, I don't need anybody. I got this all on my own. And that's no shade to the women that categorize themselves as that. Right. But to answer your question, I think that's why a lot of them are single, because they have this, I don't need you. Mm-hmm. I have it on my own. I have my own property, maybe my own business, or maybe I am an executive at a company, and financially I can take care of myself. Right. So they don't see the value in a man unless the man comes in making more money than them. And that's just what I view it as.
Right.
And I don't like it. I like to use the term, if we are working on building our self-esteem, right? And we want to big ourselves up in private, do it. But to walk in everyday life like that, I just think it breeds masculine energy.
Yeah, and I feel that there's a disconnect between men and women in general in regards to dating, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not currently dating, but I do have friends that are dating, that are on the scene, and you do run into a lot of women who consider themselves bad bitches, but they also want to be in a relationship. They also want to be married. So I think you can't have both, mm-hmm. because someone who is dating with intent and someone who is looking for someone to be his wife, he is not attracted to the bad bitch per se.
Right.
He's looking for someone, like what I think, honesty, respect, communication, someone who has self worth, self value, someone who's working on themselves, not only mentally, emotionally, with maybe a professional or someone that's close to them who could be honest with them. This is what like guys who are dating with intent are looking for. The aesthetics, we are not driven by that. And I think that social media and certain influencers are basically selling this dream of, you look a certain way, you get your body done, or you act a certain way, and then you will attract the man.
The
That's
pretty privilege.
100%. But a lot of the pretty privilege are single. So like I feel that there's a disconnect, and women need to reflect on themselves and figure out, okay, how could I be the best version of myself? So when I do meet that man who wants to date with intent, my question is, how do I keep that man now? So my next question for you is, to your ladies and your viewers, what are you doing when you do find that special person that you want to date with intent, you see a future with possibly? What are you doing for yourself to make sure that this relationship lasts?
It's a good question. Um, I would say, right, like when we think about what makes dating hard today,
Right.
is a part of that, right? Because everyone, and I'm not going to speak for everyone, but most of us were out here because I think the pandemic really changed a lot for
Absolutely.
us. Okay. 2020,
Right.
when the world was shut down and we were in quarantine, if you didn't take that as the opportunity to really get introspective and work on yourself, you're behind the eight ball.
Yep.
So that brings me to when you say,
Well, let me stop you. So what were you doing personally to work on yourself during that time?
okay, so my subscribers know because I shared this story before. 2020, I had just got out of a relationship. I was in a relationship for 4.5 years. So I'm fresh, like I'm fresh out. And then the world basically comes crashing down.
Right.
So I had no choice but to go through this breakup by myself. Most of the time, pre-pandemic, if you break up, you outside with your friends, you have distractions.
Right.
So in that time frame, one of the things that really helped me was journaling.
Okay.
And I went old school back to kindergarten days with your composition notebook. And I purposely wanted a composition notebook because it just felt like a journal.
Right, right.
So writing things down, writing how I felt about this process and releasing anything that was suppressed.
Right.
Also, not being afraid to face the music, face the trauma, face the darkness. I'll lock myself in a room. You would have thought I was in what's it called?
What?
Solitary.
Okay.
Solitary confinement.
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all, you would have thought I was in solitary confinement because it was just me, my notebook, and YouTube. YouTube really helped me build myself up and start this journey as to who do I want to be in my next relationship? Who do I want to be right now single?
Right.
What energy do I want to put out? And when I do come across potential kingdom man, what are the qualities that I want him to have?
Okay.
Right? And a lot of what I wanted or I want this person to have are the same qualities that I have in myself. So when you think about sustainability and how do you sustain a relationship, I think it's starting with yourself, really narrowing down what are the things that you want and the things that you need, not preferences. We're not talking about he needs to be 6'3" and
I got those stats for you. I
the
got
6'6".
I got the statistics for you. So, not to cut you off, but women always have these standards or expectations or requirements. A man will have to meet this criteria. So just so you know, the U.S. population of men, all age groups, all nationalities, 6 foot and taller, is 14.5%. So ladies, it's 50 states, right? How many states is it?
50.
Okay, so that's
I
less
mean,
than a one.
51 if we want to count Puerto Rico.
100%. So it's less than a 1% chance that you're gonna run into this guy. And then also your criteria is a man has to make six figures or more, right?
Mhm.
That's the next big one. So 16% of men in the US, all age groups, all nationalities, 16% of men make six figures or higher. So I think we need to readjust some of our requirements and criteria, and like you say, work on myself and what do I need
Mm-hmm.
from a man, right? And not only when you figure out what you need, then also I feel it's a disconnect that men tell women what we want or
Mm.
what we need, but you guys always do what you want to do and do what you want to do and not listen to what we're asking you to do, right? Like
Okay.
if it's something small, if we say we need more of emotional support or more motivation or more whatever, something small, you guys would do something different. This is just like a small example.
Well, why do you think that is? Because I do see that too, even amongst my friends or just anybody that I know. I do see that in some of their dynamics.
I think is just like in general, social media,
Okay.
friends,
Like
outside influences. It could be music. It could be a television show. Like it could be something outside of what we're actually saying,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to customize your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So like one size doesn't fit all.
Right. Okay.
So you have to figure out, okay, well, what does this person need? This person may need something different than the next. So I think that's the problem, is that we're programmed to do things a certain way, how society says we should do something, opposed to customizing it and what works for my relationship.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I like that. So, Julian, what do you think has changed or has made dating a little bit more complicated for us post pandemic versus how it was before the pandemic?
Well, I think that dating was evolving
Okay.
from traditional times of men meeting women, courting them. It was like a slew of men that was trying to just get this one woman's attention and had to kind of stand out and be an outlier. But I think also pandemic changed because of opportunities, right? So
Mm.
pre-pandemic, we could go out after work, we could go have some drinks with colleagues, we go to a happy hour, we could meet people organically. Whether you went to a club or you went somewhere, you could run into someone naturally at a coffee shop, at a lounge, and you could meet someone, and that could initiate a relationship, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So during the pandemic, everyone was a little bit more finicky about like being out in public or being around people. And then a lot of people started to take work at home jobs.
Right.
So now there's not a scene where someone is going after work to have drinks with their colleagues or going out as much. So you're not going to have as much interaction with someone that may fit your criteria or your standards or your needs. So a lot of the dating now have, I would say, transitioned into maybe online dating, or using apps, or slide in DMs. Like I know a lot of guys that would slide in a DM before they approach a woman in person now.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I think that a lot of the old school, writing a letter, do you like me? Yes or no? Or, bringing flowers, or just like different, like traditional standards of dating and courting, all of that has changed. It was already evolving and changing, but now more than often, I think it's more so um, everything's a little bit more hands off,
Mm.
and it's a lot easier.
Mm.
So women now
Talk about it. Talk about it.
so it's easier for men that are at a certain position, whether it's status, whether it's stature. Um, we have more opportunities, I think, and the pandemic kind of highlighted that, from like people like Kevin Samuels and all these red pill guys and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of put everything on the forefront to let women know, hey, listen, like you do need a man or high value man, but there's not a lot of us out there. Mm-hmm. So if you are a man of a certain stature, of a certain status, it's not a lot of us at the top.
So the competition is pretty steep.
Right. Amongst the women. Amongst the women. Mm-hmm. So we have more options. Now, culturally, a lot of the women look alike, right? From hairstyles, if you're not natural or you don't have like locks or, braids, like a lot of the hairstyles are the same. A lot of the lace fronts and the lashes and the bodies, the lips.
But I love a good lace front.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not discriminating.
Right. So but my question is, so it's hard for me to select from a pool of women if you all look alike aesthetically. Mm-hmm. What are you doing to separate yourself from everyone? I typically ask women who I have interest in, or even my friends that's dating, like, what do you bring to the table, right? Because aesthetically, everyone kind of looks the same. So it takes time for me to at least invest in someone and kind of get to know you. And you have to have those answers. Ladies, don't be afraid to kind of do a self-reflection and ask yourself, what do I bring to the table? Like, why should a man choose me? Because at the end of the day, right, why shouldn't I play the field as a man? If I have multiple options, somebody may be good for me physically, someone may be good for me emotionally, someone may be good for me mentally, someone may just be a friend to me. Now, as a woman, for you to ask a man to be exclusive and give all of that up, no more multiple women, you're just gonna have me. What do you bring to the table? I think that's a valid question to ask yourself before you even consider going out trying to date someone for intent. Mm-hmm. Because he's thinking that. I'm thinking that. Even that I'm in a relationship, those are questions that I ask my partner. Okay. Does she like it? Does it make her uncomfortable? Yes. But I know what I'm bringing to the table. So I need you to be sure what you're bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm. Listen, this is wine wisdom, okay? Julian is dropping gems. So, no, I love that point because for you guys that don't know, my 9 to 5 is in HR.
Right.
So I'm a human resources professional by day, entrepreneur by night. And I use some HR related references or metaphors when it comes to dating. So when you say that, the first thing I thought about was when you're on a job interview 100%. And the company asks you, so what are you going to be able to contribute to the organization or to the business? Like, what is your value? Why should we hire you? Basically is what that question is.
Right.
And that's what I think you're saying is technically that's what the man is asking. Why should I hire you to be a part of my life and get on my program? Why should I hire you to be my wife? Yes. And not to put it in those terms, right. But a husband, a wife, that's a job.
Right.
And you're signing up for that.
Yeah. But like, even if we're not saying it, we're thinking it. Mm-hmm. So be very aware and be very conscious of your behavior because you can say one thing and do another.
Right.
So I think that's something that, and we're just speaking like on tips and tricks. These are something that you need to be focused on. Some things you need to be focused on when it comes to dating. Like, what value am I bringing to the relationship? Because am I attracting a man of high value, I have to be bringing some value to that because that person is going to be vested in me, not only time-wise, but also resources.
Yes. Now that is a good point because men, and you're here, so you correct me if I'm wrong, but based off of my experience, men who have resources and value to bring, they're going to be very, very selective about not only the people, because they're going to have a very solid network, right? And they're going to be selective as to who they invite into their different business ventures, Absolutely. Things of that nature. So when it comes to choosing a woman, they want to know, because we're not talking small talk. We're talking right. Big talk. We're talking, right. You're going to be my potential wife. So you're going to have access to my resources.
Right.
How are you going to handle those resources? So the man, to your point, is going to be observant and watch your behavior and how you handle yourself, how you handle your finances, how you handle your body. I'm always talking about working out, going to the gym, because that shows that you have discipline, and a man of value wants a woman that has discipline.
100%. Well, not only discipline, but I would say coachability. Can you be coachable? Do you know everything? Right. I like to date women, particularly from a two-family household.
Mm-hmm. Talk about it.
Uh,
Equally yoked, guys. Equally yoked.
I mean, I was fortunate enough to grow up from a two-family household. You know, you're gonna have an example in front of you, whether good or bad, right? But just from my experience and me dating and choosing people that I wanted to be in a relationship with, it was just easier. It was less trauma to deal with when you're dealing with someone from a two-family household. But also, like, I think age matters as well, right?
Okay, well, let's talk about it,
Yeah.
because I typically like to date. I like to do age gap dating.
Right. Me too.
Okay.
We're on the reverse end of
Okay,
it.
okay.
Right. So I date women typically younger than myself. Have I dated women my age? Yes. There's no problem with dating women my age. But I have to understand what comes along with dating a woman my age. There's trauma, right? They may have kids, they may have past experiences.
You've been divorced or married.
Right.
Before. Mm-hmm.
Right. So now I have to be patient enough, and also I have to want to deal with that. Or should I go to someone that's slightly younger with less trauma, less PTSD, or for what less stress?
Or just less years of experience.
Correct. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But because the older women, they are stuck in their ways. Not all of them, but a lot of women. Hey, listen, I've been doing it this way for so long, and I've been successful. Maybe career wise, maybe personal wise. They're successful in what they do. They're not as coachable. And as a man, when we are choosing someone to be in a relationship or maybe make our wives, we have to be able to at least have some type of influence, not in a negative way, but like we have to be able to at least be able to show you something. Can I teach you something? I want to learn from you as well, but can I teach you something? Can I show you something?
Okay. And open your mind to different
Correct
possibilities and perspectives.
You haven't seen it all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I may have taken you somewhere for the first time, and you're going to enjoy that experience and thank me for that. But if I'm dating someone, let's say within my age bracket,
okay,
they've probably been there 5 times. You know what I mean? It's not impressing them.
Okay.
And not saying it's to impress anyone, but again, it's just an example of.
But you want to be impressionable.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to feel you could lead that person, right? Because as a man, in order for us to feel like a man, we have to feel like we are leading our household.
Right.
Because traditionally, our job is to provide provision, security, amongst other things, right? And if you won't allow me to provide that based off of your previous experiences, that's where we have issues.
Okay. And then that's when you feel like you can't do your job or you can't play your role properly.
The respect.
Or just, mm-hmm.
Because I feel like some of the foundations to have a great relationship, one of those pillars are respect.
Mm. So let me ask you this, because I like to ask this question to men and women, right? You want to ask, so would you prefer to be respected or cherished?
That's a good question. I would say respected, right? Because I feel you get so much more when you're respected or someone respects you.
Okay.
Cherished, like that just sounds like somebody died or you cherishing a memory. Like you could cherish something from an ex. You know what I mean? It's just like I feel that respect is with respect you can get loyalty with that. You can get so much more with respect. Okay. If someone respects you, then you can get that coachability.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can now coach that person and lead that person because they respect what you're saying. And in order to give respect, you also have to you get respect, right? So if I'm getting respect from my partner or my better half, I'm also gonna give that same respect. I'm gonna pour that respect into that person.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say respect.
I like that. It's kind of a trick question for me, just as
Why?
a tip.
So what about yourself?
So I will say, as a woman, I'm gonna choose cherished,
Right.
because I think it's the gratification that I feel being cherished is similar to what a man feels
Being respected.
being respected.
That makes sense.
It doesn't do it for me to just solely be respected as a woman, because honestly, there will be times where in a relationship you don't always feel respected from
Right.
your man.
Right.
Because there is a level of, and we're talking about the dynamic of balancing the feminine and masculine energy. So there may not be times where you always feel respected from your man, because there is a level of,
You have to be submissive.
right, like there's a level of superiority there.
Right.
Right? There's like, as the man, if that's the type of man you want to be the head of household,
right,
just like your boss, sometimes your boss may not respect you, especially under a lot of pressure, when things are hitting the fan in the moment.
Right.
So I'm okay with that.
Right.
But as long as I'm cherished at all times, I feel like the man is going to innately respect something that he cherishes.
Right. Treat you like a flower.
Yes.
I understand.
So
like my question to you is, and to your viewers as well, how come women never ask the question, what do I have to do in order for a man not to cheat on me? Because I think that if we get the answers to that, reverse engineer it, because a lot of women always say men are dogs, men cheat.
Well, do you have a problem with cheating, Julian?
I have in the past. I can take accountability for that. I don't cheat anymore. But do you think that
black men don't cheat?
Yeah, we used to. We don't cheat anymore. But no, I think a lot of women, they never ask that question, like, what can I do to prevent like my boyfriend, my husband, my spouse? Of course, granted, it should come along with being in a relationship, but like, what can I do to uphold my end of the bargain where they don't cheat?
Well, this is what I'll say, right? Because I believe that there are men that will cheat regardless if the woman is doing 100% of her job.
I disagree.
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. And this is personal experience. I know women for a fact that have been doing their job and is doing their job. And I say that because some men, you hear it all the time in some of the songs, baby, don't change. I'm the one that needs to change. You're perfect.
That's entertainment. We're talking about real life.
Those stories come from real life experiences. There are men out here that will literally cheat knowing that they got a good girl at home.
So to answer the question that I asked, that why women won't ask that question.
But I just wanted to set the premise and say that there are men, because I don't want the women to go crazy trying to figure this formula out. There are men out there that will just cheat because they feel like they have the right to, regardless of you doing the right thing. They just feel like they want to exercise options because they have the right to, right? But to go back to your question, what are some things that you can do to set some preventative measures,
some guidelines,
right?
Yeah.
And preventing doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to happen.
100%.
Right?
Agree.
We can take our vitamins. We can, be as healthy as we want to be, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get sick.
Yes.
But what are you doing to be preventative? Proactive.
Right.
So I think that most women may not ask that question because they don't want to take the responsibility in it. And I do think that when it comes to cheating, we should have some type of accountability in that because there's a reason for it.
100%.
Somebody is searching for something that they can't or they are not receiving.
Correct.
So I'm the type of person that goes into it with, if I'm with a attractive man to other women, if I'm attracted to this man, then I'm under the impression that other women are attracted to him too.
Right. On a daily basis.
Every day, even when he's not around. So yeah, in those instances, when we talk about competition, I think that if you, with your mindset, always be in the competitive aura. It doesn't have to be I'm competing with other women to keep my man. No, it's I'm competing with myself to continue to be the woman that he first saw in me.
Right.
Forever. Even when you get those gray hairs and you put on a couple more pounds because you're getting older, continue to always be that woman. And I think that is what's going to help prevent somebody or your man from stepping out on you. What do you think?
I mean, I agree.
And I'm not getting too detailed, but you know what I mean? Like, continue to be the nurturer, continue to be your feminine self, continue to work out, continue to look good, and always put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
And listen to him.
100%. So a lot of that is not the aesthetic side of it, right? Like you said, you want to be cherished, right? So I feel that some preventative tips to not have your spouse like step out on you, first and foremost, again, I always talk about communication, right? The communication has to be there. So it's the small things. It's not about like how you look. Again, respect, right? Attitude, right? Coachability. So I could be searching for that in other places because I'm not getting that at home. Whether it's the communication, whether it's the respect, whether it's the coachability.
Look, and you hear about that a lot, right? With men who have executive administrative assistants, 100%. And then all of a sudden you find out he's with his admin. Why?
Because she is taking the orders and she's submissive to him, right? That feeds his ego. as a man, our egos have to be fed. We are hunters. We go out and we hunt, right? Now, also on the flip side of it, you have to be someone that I don't want to lose.
Right.
So now I got to associate the risk. If I step out on this person, like, am I comfortable losing this person? Okay. Because most of the time, you guys think we react off of emotions. We don't react off of emotions. Some of this stuff is premeditated.
Okay.
So if I feel like, okay, like I don't want to lose this person, I'm not gonna take this chance. But like if I feel that everything is aligned with communication, respect, attitude, pretty much everything that I'm looking for, honesty. If I feel that you're an honest person, trustworthy, you're taking accountability, because those are some of the things that you're looking for from myself. Now, if I feel any of those things like go left, it's a good chance that
you back outside.
I'm back outside.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, you know what? I love the transparency and the honesty because as a woman, and I don't know if you guys feel this, but sometimes it's hard to hear that.
100%.
You know, for a man to just give it to you straight like that, it's hard. It's hard to digest.
I don't think like all men cheat. I have friends that are married. I have friends that are in relationships that would not look at another woman because they are afraid to lose the person that they're with, and they respect that person, and their communication is at a high level. Okay. So when things are everything. 100%. So if something goes bad within a relationship, we can talk about it.
Nip it in the bud.
Prevent. 100%. And then you put some plans in place. That way that we can get back on track.
Okay.
You know, and we was talking about dating with intent, right?
Okay.
You have to have a plan. Go in with a purpose and leave with a plan. So when you're dating someone, ladies, go in with a purpose to get to know that person, and then you create your plan on how you want that relationship to go.
Wine wisdom. Cheers to that. So, well, with all that said, thank you so much for joining me, Julian.
No problem. I appreciate it.
This conversation was so fulfilling for me. I learned a lot. I hope you all learned a lot. And, I really wanted to do something different for my channel because I'm always talking and teaching and I don't want to say preaching, but giving you all giving you all some of what I've learned in my journey as I continue to go through my dating journey and just my own individual journey
Right.
as we, go through this. And I thank you for that.
Yeah, no
And
problem. Hey, I'm not a listen. I'm not an expert on anything. These are just my personal experiences, and hopefully, you guys could take anything that I said and provide that as a tool to help you, find someone that you want to date with intent, and hopefully, you have a successful relationship. By all means, I'm not bashing women. I'm not doing anything. It's just my personal experiences.
disclaimer. No, and I thank you because Julie and I, we have these conversations all the time,
Yes, as co-workers and then as friends.
all the time. And as a man who has been through so much more than I have, like he teaches me how to navigate a lot of these dating experiences. So I'm very grateful that you came on here to share that with my subscribers and my viewers
Thank
as
you.
well. Because if I can learn something from you, I'm pretty sure you guys can as well.
Thank you.
So with that said, listen, you know what to do. Don't forget to like, comment below some of your ideas. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to this channel. Come on, support. And thank you. Until next time.